Hello and welcome everyone. This is Red Stain Radio, a Dead by Daylight podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Bryson, and I'm joined by always my lovely co-hosts, Stevie
Hi.
and Maddie.
Hello. How's it going?
Hey everyone. Super happy to be here. This is episode 8. We'll be covering our beginner's tips, kind of like our guide. So we've all kind of ranged some lists of tips and tricks and suggestions for new players. So if you're new to the game, we hope this will help you. If you know someone who's new to this game, or new to the game, send them this podcast episode, and hopefully this helps. Of course, there's going to be a lot more we can discuss in further detail, but we'll jump into that a little later. For now, we're going to be jumping into a little bit of news, but I also want to tease a little something later on in the episode. Maddie has put together some Jeopardy that we're going to be playing. Super excited, so stick around
It's
for
going to be
that.
so much fun. I'm ready.
Audio
I'm ready.
listeners, come to the video version, and you will be even more entertained than you normally are.
You'll be amazed.
With that, let's jump into some news. First up, Jason Voorhees is coming to Fortnite this Halloween. This is, I think he's coming alongside Ghostface, which
Fortnite,
is
that's
interesting.
another one.
Yeah, Fortnite has gotten a lot of horror icons. Jason Voorhees seems to be going there before Dead by Daylight. So I would only imagine the reason I have this on the docket is because I think it's all but inevitable for Jason Voorhees to come to DBD. If Fortnite can get Jason Voorhees, I think Dead by Daylight can. There is a lot of Jason Voorhees stuff in the mix in the production right now, like the short movie, the short film we talked about a few weeks ago. There's a game supposedly in the development. We're not really sure what that involves, but I'd imagine collabs and DVD is going to be in the future. Stevie, I'll jump to you first. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, it's kind of, you see a Fortnite get a new character and you're like, oh, of course they're in Fortnite now. Who isn't in Fortnite is kind of what you're supposed to be thinking. Mm-hmm. But DBD is going to hit that point at some moment. You're going to think to yourself, why aren't they in DBD at this point? Jason's going to be one of those pillars that's just going to prop up that argument that anyone can get into the fog if we've bloated it this far with characters.
Yeah, he is the last big slasher we don't have in the game, like the classic slasher. A lot of people was like, oh, just make him a trapper skin. Those people don't know what they're talking about. There's no way he's gonna be a trapper skin. If he is a trapper skin, well, let's just say I'll be very.
It's gonna be a $30 trapper skin.
Yeah, it'd be very expensive.
He's gonna come with a new Mori. He's gonna come with skins and sound effects and the chase music.
A unique killer. But Maddie, what do you think?
Honestly, kind of agreeing with what Stevie said. Super excited, but also once he's added, there's not gonna be a lot of who's left. Because the only one I can think off top of dome is Slender Man. Maybe one of the B horror movies. I can't even think of anything. Like the Leprechaun. I don't know.
Candyman is a big one that a lot of people.
And then maybe Darth Vader and Predator. If you really want Darth Vader, and then there's Predator. But besides that, I don't think of any. I can't think of anyone else who's as big as Springtrap or Freddy Krueger. Maybe they do revise for a chapter. I could see that happening. But
yeah,
at that point, I think they'd swap more to either licenses anime, with Danganronpa, or maybe they do something else. Maybe kind of what they did with Ghostface, where they did an original take on a licensed. Sort of I don't know. I don't even know what to think. Maybe their version of D&D again. I don't know.
Yeah, they could always dive into mediums that they haven't quite delved into yet either, like books and such. So, for example, the big one that comes to mind is Pennywise. There's a lot of debate whether Stephen King would allow that, which is a big reason why a lot of people think he's not in DVDs, because Stephen King weirdly has a thing against video games, which is what I've heard. I don't know how true that is. So,
he's just super protective, specifically around video games.
Yeah, I don't know. He's not.
Yes,
he's not a huge fan apparently, but he'll give he'll license out his books all the time. So I'm not sure. Yeah. So Jason Voorhees coming to Fortnite this Halloween. That's exciting. We will see if DBD has something planned in the future. I doubt it's in year 9, but probably year 10. I would imagine Jason makes a return. We would love to see that.
Give it a year.
Absolutely. Something horror related, but also not DVD focused, which I like to do once in a while. Y'all, a movie came out Friday that was last this last weekend called Weapons. This is by the director who did Barbarian, Zach Crager. This movie is
Also of
phenomenal.
Whitest Kids You Know fame.
Yes, he's very much known for his comedic stuff, kind of way back early in the like 90s and early 2000s, and now he's directing horror movies, which is crazy. But if you've not seen Barbarian, go see it. If you've not seen Weapons, go out and see it. It is very, very good horror, but also it's really funny. It's unexpected. Go into it without watching a trailer. We all three saw this movie. Maddie, I'll jump to you
I
first.
saw it.
Let's
It's
let's
so
not get
good.
into spoilers just because it's very fresh and I don't want
Yeah.
to. I don't want people to skip it, but what are your kind of overall thoughts on Weapons?
My God. Okay, I could say a lot of things, but I'm gonna keep it kind of like simple, just because you have so much to do this episode. Weapons is a really good movie, not just because it tells a really good story with plot twists that don't feel like out of left field and feel really deserved. But there's also a lot of moments with characters where you're like, I understand you. You did horrible things, but I get it. And all that together just makes a really satisfying story that was told in a way I did not expect. I'm not gonna go further than that. I also really like kind of like the symbolism with weapons. And people have already made the analogy before, and the director kind of renouncing it wasn't really based on it, but there has been some connections to mass shootings. And though people say, hey, or not people, sorry, even though the director said that's not exactly is what the movie was meant to be, there's definitely parallels with what characters say and see, especially with one of the semi main characters. I think his name is Archer. There's definitely a lot of things he says and sees that makes me think, okay, did you really think this was not an analogy? Because that really feels like an analogy. But there's
Mhm.
also kind of like analogies with mental health, not like super big on mental health, but also stuff like parasiticism and other things I won't spoil. But overall, I just really liked Weapons. I thought it was really good. I thought it was really fresh and unique, and there was a bit of humor in it, which I didn't expect. Like there was some in Barbarian near the end,
Yeah.
especially that I was like, okay, that's a bit weird, but I don't know if he did that on purpose. But with Weapons, it was definitely on purpose, especially like the final scene with you know, I
Hmm.
I was definitely chuckling in the crowd. So yeah, really like it. It's really fresh, and if you like horror movies, but you also like a little bit of comedy, I definitely recommend you see it.
Yeah. Stevie, you just saw this movie like less than an hour
Like a
ago.
few hours ago.
What do you think?
I can't I don't think it can be understated how intentionally like funny and scary the movie is being.
Yeah.
It definitely doesn't pull its punches when it like uses its scary moments,
Oh,
but it
100%.
gives you as an audience member time to breathe by giving you something relieving right after the scary moment. So if you're somebody who's really like jump scare prone, stick through it because it's got funny moments that if you see the levity in it, you'll feel it, especially the ending. A slapstick is the only way I can describe it,
Literally.
Well,
but
like
that
in the
might be too much.
yeah, but like in the best way. Like I don't. It's definitely
In the
earned,
perfect way.
Yeah.
and it's
My
not like it's
entire
rushed.
theater was erupting in laughter, and
Same.
I know none of us could control it.
Yeah.
Literally.
It's
I
such a
will say though, after that slapstick ends, immediately after it, I was like, oh, this is a horror movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Stuff like
crazy how
that.
much I was on the edge of my seat and also laughing. Like it's like I would absolutely categorize this movie as a dark comedy. Like it's hilarious,
Yes.
but also
Okay.
like really dark and demented at
Mhm.
times. And it's just one hell of a good ride. Go into it as blind as you can. Don't watch a trailer. But
Mhm.
it is just phenomenal how great this movie is. And like I said, same director did Barbarian, also a very unexpected, weird, twisted movie that you should highly recommend. It's a little more darker than I think Weapons is, or I don't know, there is some comedy like Maddie said, but I think Barbarian is kind of much more on the darker horror side than it is comedy. Um, and Zach Kreger, the director, is going to be doing the next Resident Evil movie. Apparently it's another reboot thing kind of thing. It's going to be its own thing. It's not going to follow the games or
Anyway,
any.
apparently,
Yeah,
which is
so
super
that'll be
yeah.
interesting. So hopefully he knocks it out of the park because I'm very much looking forward to any future movies he comes out with.
Yeah, honestly, I have full confidence this movie, the Resident Evil one's gonna be really good because, like, in Resident Evil, there's always like a little bit of comedy. Like, come on, Jill Sandwich, let's be for real. But
He's the
also,
perfect director to do that.
exactly, it just feels like a
Mhm.
match made in heaven because he knows when to do horror, but he also knows when there's a chance for comedy. And also, I feel like he could make some really good like parallels with some themes he has in mind. I'm thinking more so about weapons with the whole parasitism thing and like the weapons itself. I feel like that could really translate well into Resident Evil when he decides to adapt or make whatever it is. I just hope that he doesn't reference Joel Samja anyway, because that's gonna make me like, oh yeah, this is a video game movie.
Yeah,
There's gonna be something else that makes you realize that. There's gonna be
yeah.
things that are gonna be inescapable.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, oh my god, we're in a Resident Evil. Oh my god.
Oh God, I hope not. Just
This
like in
residence we're in.
just like in the Until Dawn movie, if you've seen that, like we have to survive until dawn. Like, just turn it off there.
Don't title drop.
Ter-
No.
Let's
terrible,
mine.
terrible
Let's
movie.
craft.
Terrible
Let's
movie.
Minecraft. Oh my god.
I mean, when the Dead by Daylight movie comes out, you know someone's gonna be like, "We'll be dead by daylight." Like, you know
Yeah,
that's gonna
speaking of
happen.
Dwight, we need to move
news
quickly.
on the DPT movie, besides its announcement with Blumhouse, I think it was.
Blumhouse, yeah.
And
You're
Atomic.
right. You reminded me.
Atomic Monster. Both of those.
We are confirmed David will be shirtless in the movie, Sable will kiss Michaela, and Dwight will die. Sorry,
This is
guys.
canonical.
This is canon.
Dwight's always got to die. Always.
Yeah, no, that's his whole shtick. Sorry, Dwight means. So
Yeah. So go check out Weapons, listeners. Don't walk, run to the theater and see this movie. It's great.
If your arms stretched out like the children.
Yeah, there you go. run to them like that. Next up, the charms. We have a little heart charm. If you log in between a certain amount of times, a certain
No code
date.
required. It's just in your inbox in DBD.
You do have to claim it though. It's not automatically added to
You have to click 3 buttons to get it.
Yeah,
Yes.
go to your inbox and look for the charm, and you'll get a free little heart thing charm. It's kind of cute.
Remember,
It's like
behavior
an
loves you.
anatomical little heart in the shape of a cartoon heart.
Behavior
Which I think
loves
is kind
you,
of
Jim loves you, and the Broken Last Stand perk also loves you.
damn right.
Gaming.
And finally, today, Behavior had a little Chandler Riggs stream. If you don't know who Chandler Riggs is, he's
Ooh,
the actor who
sheesh.
plays Carl in The Walking Dead, who is also a fan of Dead by Daylight.
Yes.
And
Let's face it, so much worse.
they had a stream today with some very popular DVD streamers: Mish, Otts, Ghost Arcade, G-Burb, and I already said Mish. Mish is on there twice, actually. That's funny. I
Oh,
read that.
that's my mood.
It's all good. So a couple of big DVD streamers with Chandler Riggs. They were going to do private matches and just kind of mess around and play, DBD for everyone. And that didn't happen. Maddie, I'll let you take it away. What did happen with this stream?
Were you up early enough to watch it live?
I did not watch it live. I only saw a news post about it, and I was like, wait, what? So I went to the VOD, and I was like, oh. So to our beautiful listeners and maybe viewers out there, they did not get to play a single actual game because they kept getting DDoSed.
These are
Yay.
custom games, mind you. They couldn't load into a custom lobby and
Yeah.
play a full game.
Insane.
Like not a normal match. This was a custom game with all the streamers and Carl's actor, and Otstarva recommended that they fill up the spectator slots, which if you don't know, people who DDoS, they can get into the spectator slots by forcibly entering people's custom games and then having really high ping, which crashes the server and shuts down the game. So by having all the spectator slots filled, they couldn't get in and they could play some games. A bit annoying, but that's what you have to do. Behavior said, no, we can't do that. I don't know why they said that. I haven't seen the entire VOD, but they just said no. And eventually ended up having all the streamers apologizing and then leaving. And then Carl's actor, along with some of the developers and staff of Behavior, played their new game, It Has My Face, for like 30, 25 minutes. And then the stream ended. It was a total clown show. And it doesn't really help, especially with the state that DBD is in, which I would argue is probably worse than Twins. Like, Twins was pretty bad, but that's because they had a whole new killer that treated its power like an object, and that kind of ruined everything. And it had 4 of 6 perks be broken and had to be changed. This is arguably worse though, because basically everything is broken
It's
because of
so
the main
bad.
engine update.
Mhm.
And people aren't happy, and Behavior is doing weird stuff. Like, hey, we're raising the prices in this country. I can't remember
Oh,
if it was
Brazil. Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, we're raising our prices by 17% on the same day as the stream, which was today. And there's the stream, obviously. There's the charm to say, we love you guys. Labor of love, maybe?
No.
And
They always
yeah,
ask
it's
for
been
labor of love reward.
all
don't
over
they?
the place.
Not happening.
Which is
Yeah.
not to mention, even worse news, is that Carl is not going to be added to Dead by Daylight as a
Yeah.
skin or playable survivor because AMC has said that they did not want to age up his character, which feels really sucky because, spoiler alert for the Walking Dead show, Carl dies around season 7, I want to say, season 8.
Yeah.
It's kind of
It's around there.
later in the show. I haven't seen up to
Hmm.
that point. And he didn't get to adulthood, obviously. He was like a teen, I think.
Yeah.
And people were kind of iffy by that because we have Yuichi, which if you don't know, he's from the Ring series, and he was always a kid, but in Dead by Daylight, they aged him up to an adult.
Yeah.
And additionally, we have Cheryl Mason, who canonically, when taken into the fog, is 17. And additionally, we have the Legion, who were all in high school when they were taken. So people were like, that's a little unfair. Some points were made on that side, but some people were like, oh, but the Legion's are original characters. They can choose that. Oh, Cheryl has been aged up to 18 when she is in the fog, though, not when she's taken. And Yoichi is basically a whole new character. So there's kind of like back and forth, but it still feels really sucky. Especially this is basically the second time AMC has fucked over the actor because if
Yeah.
you don't know, they fought Charles actor asked AMC, "Is my character getting killed off anytime soon?" They said no. His family moved to be closer to set. They killed him off. So I don't know.
And the
I feel bad for him.
and in addition to the reason they killed him off is because when he turned 18, they would have to pay him more because he was an adult,
What?
and
Oh,
so
that's even
that's the reason they
worse.
didn't want to
What the
pay all
fuck?
that. Is yeah is
Oh
to
my
they
god.
yeah, it's insane. It's crazy what they did to that character.
Chandler
It's really
Riggs, we're
dumb,
so sorry for you.
especially in the comics.
Yeah.
And it's spoilers if you don't want and if you don't want spoilers for the comics. um Rick eventually dies in the comics, and Carl is the one who's left. And
Exactly.
and you follow Carl the rest of the way through the comics. It's kind of crazy that they just ended up doing that. It's just the show really went off the rails after the
Yeah.
prison arc, and it's just a hot mess. And AMC really fucked
Yeah.
over Chandler Riggs
Oh.
multiple times. Seems like the third time now, and
Mhm.
it's insane. So it really sucks. I really thought we were gonna get a Carl skin because of the stream, but I
But
guess
we didn't even get a Carl stream.
No, we
yeah,
didn't get
right.
that
We can't
news
even get
yet.
a Carl stream, so
Oh.
maybe
We
he'll
just
do
got
it
an
on its
hour of
own.
him
That'd be kind of
chopping it
cool.
up with the devs. Like
Yeah, I,
the guy probably loved being there, you know?
right.
Probably
Yeah, he
meeting his
probably
favorite developers. He was
was.
gassed, but like
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just sucks,
why
man.
people got to ruin it for everyone else,
Right.
Yeah.
you
Small
know?
PB energy. Small PB energy.
Yeah.
Totally,
Ugh.
absolutely. So that's some unfortunate stuff. Yeah, with behavior, this we talked about it last week. This update has been a hot mess. A lot of broken bugs, a lot of broken perks, killers being tweaked that really shouldn't have been touched. We're probably gonna have an episode eventually on like the state of DVD right now. I doubt anything's gonna change by next week, so it'll probably be our next week's episode. That'll be episode 9, so stick around for that. But for this week, this is episode 8. This is our beginner's guide to DVD. And we also want to cover how behavior can implement better systems mechanics for new players when onboarding. So, and that's kind of what I jump into now before we get into specific tips. What systems or features do we want to see behavior implement for new players? I have a small little list that I actually want to jump into first, but first I want to jump into kind of some things they already have. So right now they have a tutorial. It's very basic, and it's just fine. If you've never heard of DBD, if you've never seen DBD, it's a great place to start. Do the tutorial. You get some rewards for it, like BP and some unlocked items and charms and stuff. And it just tells you the basics: doing gens, unhooking players, hiding, and then you play some bot matches with that, which are a great way to warm up. However, it is very bare bones. It does not really cover perks. It doesn't really cover killer powers, aside from Trapper, who you see never really. He's a bottom tier killer. You're not going to see Trapper a lot. Um, and there are 40 killers in the game, each one with a unique power, each one with different nuances and counters. For a survivor who is just starting out, or a killer who's just starting out, even like you're going to be overwhelmed to how do I use this ability? How do I counter it? How do I use it to my best ability to get survivors on hooks? You're gonna have a lot of questions, and then there are hundreds of perks which the tutorial does not cover. So there are a lot of systems in place that the behavior really needs to implement to make DBD a little bit better. Because right now, if you want to learn it, you have to go to a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer, or you have to look up a guide on how things like, or you just have
You
to,
have to spend time on a wiki. You have to
yeah,
look up everything
or
about
hundreds
anything.
and thousands of hours in game, which is not very reasonable for new players. Like it's insane. And I'm learning, and us as veteran players, we're learning new tips and tricks against killers and whatnot all the time. Like I don't know, it was this year I learned that if you're in a locker until you get crows, head on won't activate. Like I didn't know that. That's insane. So it's just there's just new things you're learning every week when you're watching people and stuff. So, yeah, I wanted to get into some stuff that they could implement. Here are my ideas. I know I've been talking a little bit, but first, I think you should implement killer bots. So, right now, you cannot play a private match with a killer bot. I think they should implement that. They do that in 2v8. If one killer DCs, that killer will be replaced by a bot. But if the other one does, the game is over. So, they really need to implement killer bots. I think that's a great way to say, hey, I'm going to jump into a custom match, put on a killer bot to learn kind of like the feel for their power. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
And even
I
if it was like
what do you
original killers only,
Yeah.
you
yeah,
could
like
still
you could
put
just
that
do
in.
original killers. Yeah, that could
Somebody
be
wants to
absolutely fine.
practice dodging Huntress hatchets, they boot it up for 5 minutes and then they see, okay, I can survive in a chase when it's I know what the killer is and I know what they're doing and I'm prepared for it.
Hmm.
But that's not gonna happen every match when you're new. You're not gonna know every killer just by seeing them. You're not gonna know every power just by chasing.
And I think they should implement it for all. I think they should eventually implement it for all killers, but I don't think you should have to own the killer. I think if you don't own the killer, you should still be able to implement a bot. I think that should be fine. You know, you're not playing as them; you're playing against them. I don't see that being a problem.
Exactly. Especially since you can use old perks even if you don't own those perks. I feel like that would be kind
Yeah,
of fair.
exactly. Another one I think they should do. I don't think a tutorial for each killer is possible. That just seems like a lot of work, unless they outsource that to another studio. However, I think they could do videos on each killer. Have a little library of counters and playing as a killer. Like you could outsource that easily to a Twitch streamer or a YouTube content. Like you could easily do that, or do it internally. It's up to you, behavior, whatever you want to do with your money. But I think that's something important to have. Again, 40 killers. I think that'd be a great way to learn killers. Just a quick tutorial to counter and play as. What do you all think?
It would be better to have that in game than like, the loading tips
I
that
was
are
gonna
just kind
say,
of
yeah.
nothing.
Like,
Yeah,
with
I
all
have a note on
due,
loading tips too, but we'll get to that.
yeah, with all due respect to the loading tips, some of them are just very, I don't want to say basic, but it's like doing a
Bad.
generator is a good idea. Throw pallets down to distract the killer, which is what
Yes,
people did, by the
that was
way.
the thing. Don't use a pallet to distract survive a killer. Please don't do that.
Yeah, but
But
like,
yeah,
I'm gonna
as a
be
new
honest.
player, you're seeing these things, and that's your first instinct is to read them and internalize them because
Hmm.
you're waiting for the match to start. You're thinking, how can I prepare myself more than just what I just did? This
Mhm.
tip should help me.
I do have some controversial things in my tips, but I'd rather Stevie go first because I
Okay,
do a lot of yapping.
go ahead, CB.
I mean, just as far as features they could implement, it is almost impossible to just sit there and absorb the game off of just playing customs or just playing public matches over and over. You do need to be kind of told what is happening.
Yeah.
Whether that's how a perk is working, how a killer's power is working, how a survivor is doing what they're doing,
Mhm.
what their thought process is. Because you can run around all you want, but until you know how to run around, until you know where to run around, you're just going to think of the game as hide and seek. Um, but learning the gameplay part of it is something you can't do on your own. If you just stick yourself into solo queue over and over again, you're gonna get good at keeping yourself alive, maybe, but you might not understand what's happening when you're doing it. So outsourced information is kind of been the norm for Dead by Daylight. Everything about the game is on a wiki. It's not in game. It took a few years for them to put numbers on a couple perks that used to just say moderately and tremendously.
Insane.
Oh my
So
God,
if you wanted to even know what your perk was doing, you had to find someone who wrote about it online who figured it out already.
I gave you psychic damage. That actually hurt. I
Yep.
remember that.
Yeah,
Esoteric
throwback.
is definitely the word I would use to describe Dead by Daylight.
You're
Something
giving
as
me
simple as like,
tremendously increased brain damage.
yeah, even playing a killer for the first time is going to feel like you're a gorilla in a fighter jet. you won't be able to drive it.
Oh,
Just looking to other players, looking to people who know more than you, accepting that like maybe I can learn a thing or two and then put down the video and then I'll try it next time I play. That's enough. You know, doing little bits of learning is better than doing lots of learning for a long time. Let yourself internalize it, take it at your own pace, but find the tools that help you.
Go for it, Maddie.
so my suggestions are is basically two things. My first suggestion is when I was thinking about it, Dead by Daylight reminds me a lot of fighting games, specifically Smash Bros. Because everyone calls it like the Smash Bros. Of horror or something like
Yeah.
that. And what I was thinking is that a really good idea would be kind of making like a compendium in the main screen, like tips or something. And then when you go into it, it would have like basic stuff that isn't really covered in the main tutorial that I hope they cover, like redo one point. But like very simple thing they could do now is make like a compendium of tips like when you're in chase, you should try and prioritize looping pallets and windows as long as you can. If you think you're gonna hit, you should use the pallet then, stuff like that. And then maybe when they release new killers and survivors and then eventually go back, they can have like how to face the Lich or how to play the Lich. And they could include little videos like the Lich comes with 4 powers in one, all with separate cooldowns. And they could explain everything with short little videos showing how it's made. And that way you don't only future proof your game. So in the future, when you release new content, you have that off the bat. So people aren't like, how the fuck do I play the Jason? It's like, oh, okay. I when I'm invisible, people can still hear me going hee 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 ha ha ha, and I can use the sleeping bags to instantly more people if they have enough
I
guide
really hope that's the
stacks.
Jason Voorhees Mori when it happens. I really do. Anyway, go on. That's a side note.
But yeah, I just think having compendium of explaining things that aren't really explained at all would be great. Like, if I'm correct, for the Lich's like little tooltip when you're longing to match against him, it's not very great. It's like he has lots of powerful abilities. Like, why don't you tell me said powerful abilities? Why not just say he has the
Yep.
ability to detect you, he has the ability to prevent you from dropping a pallet, an ability to hit you through walls, and an ability to catch up with you. And maybe instead of having those tips down there, which not only ruins any sort of surprise the killer has, have it included in there and more in depth. So when people get into a match, they can be like, oh yeah, I remember reading this. I'm going against the pig. I should try and be more alert and look out for where her bear trap places may be. So when I do get a bear trap on my head, I can go to these locations and hopefully get it off pretty quickly. I just think that would be a good idea. And my second suggestion would it be in the tutorial that they hopefully redo to include more in-depth but optional stuff. So that would be kind of like statuses effects, like
Mm.
bus and debus, which is going to be talked about in my Jeopardy. Ooh. But they could talk about haste and endurance and why these are important and why you get them when you're unhooked. And then for other stuff, it could be like these are powerful perks are powerful things used by killers, and there's a bunch of them. And here are some easy ways to determine which ones are being used and different types that you may see. It doesn't have to go into every single perk because that would be literally 400 guides, but maybe just like this is a hex perk. A hex perk can be identified because it is a totem with glowing candles and makes a crackling noise. You should destroy these as soon as possible, as it grants the killer a powerful effect. Just like really simple stuff like that would really help because the amount of
Hmm.
times I've seen new survivors run around not knowing what they're doing, and then they go against me as the Lich, and they go down immediately because they don't know what I fucking do is way too high. Which says a lot about my MMR if I'm going against new players, but you get the point.
Um,
You
I,
shouldn't.
I, I
You should know
wanted
what you're doing.
yeah, I wanted to touch on the status effects. You bring up such, and even with just status effects alone, like that is a whole. I didn't even think of that. Like I was thinking killers and perks. Status effects is
Yeah,
a whole nother. Like there's so many. I don't even know how many, but like I've known so many people who think like expose is like, oh, the killer can see me. But
exactly.
that's not the case. And then it's like, okay, well then they hit me with their weapon. Why didn't I go down in one hit? Well, was it a special attack? Do you know the difference between a basic and a special attack? And you have all this jargon. So, even a dictionary for all this stuff would be really cool to have alongside that compendium. So, yeah, status effects is a great thing to bring up. I didn't even think of that.
Like, how many of you know what cursed does? Do any of you know cursed? Raise your hand if
Uh,
you know what cursed means.
Uh,
that's not. Is that hexed? Is that when you have the hex on the
Yeah,
symbol?
if there's
yeah.
a hex
Okay.
active, that's when it pops up. It says there's
Okay.
a hex active.
A hex active that you have been affected by. I know that part.
Yes.
Mhm.
Because I don't think for Blood Favor it says you're cursed, I think.
No, Blood Favor hexes you as
Okay,
soon
Blood
as
Favor got cursed.
someone in range
Yeah,
enough
but
to
like,
block a pallet
imagine a new
goes
player
off.
hearing this and they'd be like, what the fuck is cursed? What's a hex?
But like these are keywords that show up in other perks, right? Like if you're reading Soul Guard,
Mhm.
you just bought Cheryl Mason because you love Silent Hill. You're not gonna know what cursed is until you understand what a hex perk is. But
Yeah.
you just bought a survivor. How are you gonna know what a hex perk
What
is?
does endurance mean?
Yeah,
What's
that's
getting off
another
the
thing. What
ground?
does endurance mean?
Is
Like,
it when someone picks me up or is it when I do it myself?
and I think the naming of some of this stuff, such as endurance, such as exposed,
It's
is really
confusing.
not great. Like, you should have maybe picked better terms for these
Mhm.
things.
I
Um,
mean,
but yeah,
on the bright side though, it is included at the bottom of perk descriptions of like
that's
what
true.
they do. The only exception is there's so many status effects, and if you're
Hmm.
in a match, you're not going to be able to read them at the moment. Like if you're going against Doctor Get Madness, how the fuck am I supposed to do what Madness does? And it's only done by one person. No one else has it.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to know what that does?
Maybe when we have a Dead Space chapter, we'll have more madness because that would implement really
Maybe.
well. So,
It's been like what, 8 years though, for
yeah,
Madness
a
to
lot
be
of years.
used.
A lot of years. So, yeah, before we move on to like the tips and kind of beginner's guides, we'll kind of go round robin there. Any other systems or features we want to see behavior implement? I know another thing I kind of left off was just better loading screen tips. As of
Yes.
now, they're not great. Maddie touched on this. They're not great. They're very basic. Like, just they need to be more detailed and maybe a little more helpful. So that's kind of my last
Yes.
one. But
100%.
As far as what the game needs in it, I think right now it does kind of need a little more incentive to stick around. If someone has a bad match, there's no real point to keep playing. If you've
Yeah.
had your fun and then the games aren't fun anymore, it's going to feel hard to learn or that you did learn anything. If you had a particularly sore spot in the last match, it made it hard to think about anything other than one interaction. You're not going to think about the future interactions. You're not going to think about how could I have enjoyed that match more. And ultimately, it's a game, so you should be prioritizing your own enjoyment. If you find that the game isn't giving you anything to like hook you in, put it down. But I
This
think
is
the
Matthew.
game needs more ways to encourage you to learn, to lose, to keep sticking with it.
In the words of Matthew Cote, if you're not having fun, play Civ 6 or something.
And that's more than enough excuse to put the game down.
that
Is
goes with
Exactly.
you're not
any
having
video
fun.
game you're playing. If you're not enjoying the game,
Especially.
you do not have to finish it. Like, just set
Yeah,
it down and let it be.
have some tea, have some
Th-
coffee.
Actually, apply that to any content you consume, movies,
Just like
books,
anything you do,
shows.
yeah.
If you don't like it, put it down and leave it alone.
Yeah.
Like,
Put down
just,
the cup.
you don't have to finish it. You don't have to finish it.
Exactly. Like if you're
I've
watching
learned,
Game of Thrones and you're on that final season, don't do it.
oof,
Take a
yeah,
break.
Yeah.
yeah,
Do something
that's a
else.
that's a good one to put down. Probably sooner than the last season,
Yeah.
probably. Just,
Whoopsie.
yeah. Anyway,
Fan
let's get
fiction is okay.
into let's get into some new tips that we have for new players. Again, if you're new to DBD, welcome. 2v8, Five Nights at Freddy's, Tokyo Ghoul, the anniversary, all that stuff really brought in a lot of new players. So if you're new to DBD, welcome. I hope you're enjoying it. Again, if you're not, take a break and go somewhere else. It's not for everyone. I understand that. But we have some tips, some kind of beginner's guide stuff that we want to give to you to maybe make your enjoyment and understanding of the game greater and healthier. We're going to just round robin style like we did with the dream chapters. So we each go around and kind of give our little lists. Not really any particular amount of things here, but I know we have quite a bit here. So I'll start off just a little bit since I'm at the top here. My first suggestion for new players is to watch people play Dead by Daylight. Subscribe to a YouTube channel or a Twitch streamer or follow people on TikTok. Go to the subreddit. There's a lot of clips there, although probably TikTok is and YouTube and Twitch are going to be your best places. I really got better at looping and mind gaming, and which I'll get into actually a little later.
Yeah.
Yeah, to your point though, the one you started, watching content creators, watching people who have played Dead by Daylight and know how to talk about it. That's kind of the important part. I think it's natural for a lot of people who are into Dead by Daylight, whether they just like it as a game or like playing it, found themselves watching a lot more Dead by Daylight content. That's kind of the first sign you're into the game, is you want to consume the content about it. You want to watch people play it. Maybe you're a little too scared to play it, or maybe the last times you did play it, it wasn't so much fun. But consuming Dead by Daylight content most of the time is a good sign that you're into the game, that you're ready to learn it, you're ready to maybe figure out some of the things about it. So start watching the content. If you're into it, stick with it. If you don't like a certain person, stop watching their content. Find someone you do like.
Yeah.
I recommend kind of find your streamer. Much like you'll have your bar, the one that's close to your house. Find your streamer. Maybe the one that plays the killer you like to watch the most. Maybe it's someone who just talks funny when they play. Whatever resonates with you. Emotionally, that's the key part, is you want somebody who you can watch. The second biggest thing is whether or not they're kind of explaining their thought process. That way you can get into the mind of a Dead by Daylight player while you're watching it. Then you take that mindset into the game. So if you are someone who likes to watch a lot of the content and the people you do watch are really good at the game and they have this very confident mindset, and you take that very confident mindset into the game, you might find your own knowledge isn't the same as them, but you can try. So that's always fun, is trying new things, trying and figuring out what people have been doing that you've been watching, and then treating that as your knowledge base. This is kind of what we think about when we think about learning mind games. We learn tricks from other people. We see it done to someone else before we can do it ourselves.
The text,
The tech. Oh my goodness. The Bryson Lee of tech.
the Bryson leave tech, the Bryson disconnect and crash the internet tech.
But yeah, beyond the general powers and mechanics of the games, you do have techs, or techniques is probably the best word to describe it. Techniques being anyone using anything in the game. At this point, there's a tech for Windows items, vaults,
Killing your
there's
friends
specific
tech.
techs for certain killers.
Mhm.
You won't know them, they won't be obvious,
Yeah.
but you'll feel them out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You'll see YouTube videos of people doing things that should be consistent, and then you're maybe unable to do them. Don't worry. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Just watch
You are
and then
learning.
do what you can.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And to
Until
kind of
you
build
accidentally do something, it won't feel natural.
exactly. And to kind of build on that point, my first tip for beginners is pretty much the same. Find and use community created guides. I think what's really important about looking for guides, though, kind of similar to what Stevie said, is not only finding someone you like, but also finding someone that you really understand. Because there's no point in watching a guide if you don't understand it at all. If someone's like going into like, oh, when you use the hug tech on Kaneki, you also have to use the perk this, that, and he's not explaining it, probably not the guy for you. You should try and find people who ease you in and get into your comfort level if you're really new to the game. If you're more advanced and more understand, then maybe Mr. Kaneki Kidnap Tech is the perfect guy for you. So kind of find the person who's on the same like skill level, I'd say. And just to help you guys out, I've also have some recommendations for guides that I personally find to be pretty good. For
That's good.
Survivor,
Lay it on us. Get the new player guides, like
for
fresh players.
yes, for Survivor, I do have three just because I do think that's the role you should start as. It's less stressful and you have a team to help you out, even if it's completely random. And these free videos are Beginner Guide on How to Survive in Dead by Daylight by Hens3v3, also known as Hens. A Survivor's Guide to Every Killer in Dead by Daylight. This one's a bit more specific on trying to survive against people like the Lich or the Trapper and getting specific on how to deal with specific killers. This is made by Not Odstarva, also known as Odds or Odstarva. And the final Survivor one I have is one called A Beginner's Guide for New Survivors. This one's made by Mish and focuses more on the beginning of a match slash kind of early stuff you should be introduced to. And for the killer mans out there, or the killer people who want to be killer mans, I got you too. We have an absolute beginner's guide to killer DVD made by a shiny Cillian. There we
Those
go.
are all good creators. I know that they're all doing good stuff,
Yes.
and They put a lot of effort into these videos. They make them digestible.
So definitely go check them out if you're looking for a place to start.
So, for me, I mentioned earlier mind gaming. I don't know if that got cut out or not, but mind gaming is a big part of looping and also chasing as a killer. Mind gaming is like faking vaults, double backing, hiding your red stain when you're going around a jungle gym, greeting and respecting pallets. Those are kind of mind game tactics and will greatly improve your chase and or looping skills significantly. I highly recommend, and the best way I learned those was to watch people play DVD, which I learned quickly and was my last suggestion, and B, see how people, if you're playing killer, see how survivors mind game you. Watch what they're doing and try to replicate that yourself when you're playing survivor. Or on the other side, if you're a survivor, switch over and see how the killer is mind gaming you. How did they get the jump on you? How did they fake a certain palette or fake a certain window or whatnot? So that is my two solutions for that in terms of understanding what mind gaming is, and just kind of getting better at it. So
I just wanted to pinpoint them. Mind gaming, as it stands, is effectively you're thinking in a fighting game sense. Let's bring it back there, where you have conditioned your opponent to expect one thing, and then you do another thing. If the survivor keeps vaulting the window over and over, and you decide to go around the long way and cut them off, that one time they don't vault the window is going to throw you off. If they did it intentionally or not doesn't matter. It still mind gamed you. It got you to do one thing mentally that wasn't the right option. Uh, Expecting the wrong thing at the right time is going to be tough. You're not going to know who is intentionally mind gaming you or when you mind gamed yourself. So, keeping an open mind and thinking about all the moving parts, thinking about what somebody's done recently and what they're likely to do next is a lot of Dead by Daylight. Does the killer stay near hooks? Does the killer go back to the hook every single time? Do they really want this generator to not be completed? These are predictable things that you can notice and trust your gut. Trust your gut. Believe what you feel. Um, you really only have your own perspective in a match. That's kind of the point. Whether you're a killer, you only have what's on your screen. You can point your camera anywhere you want, but you're not going to be looking at the other parts of the map. So you kind of have to be thinking about them. You have to be imagining and trust your imagination.
Go to your mind palace.
Exactly.
Find your little
Build the map in your head before you walk around the map in the game.
yeah. I also think that's really important because, like, for higher levels of play, especially like in tournaments or just in really high MMR, players play differently. Like, a killer could be really aggressive and go for downs all the time and not really caring about generators, while another one will only care about generators and will completely ignore people except for like the one guy who keeps touching them. Or maybe the killer player could be someone who wants to get one guy out and one guy out specifically to get an easy win. And these are all different and have different ways of playing. And that's not take into consideration how do they play around pallets? How do they play around windows? What killer are they playing? What add-ons do they have? What do they know about you? What do they know about your teammates? What do they actually know? All of this really plays into the game and is something you should try and get used to because even if you don't do it, your opponents are going to be doing it every single time. And my I guess we can move on to my second tip, which is a little bit different, and that's to try both roles equally. Now, let's say you're a survivor or a killer mate, and you're like, I only like this role. I still recommend that you do try the other role. One, because it builds empathy for the other role, which I feel like has been drastically ignored in the Dead by Daylight community, especially in the formative years, where due to the game how it is, it's become sort of a us versus them. If you're on Reddit, you've probably heard that a billion times. I'm so sorry. But I also think it's really important to play both roles on a gameplay sense, not only because it helps you understand why people play the way they do, but also helps you get used to why they do these things. A specific example is I didn't really play a killer for a long time when I first started playing. I felt scared, I felt it was stressful, but after a while, one of my friends was like, "You should really try it out to understand it." And I was like, okay. And then one of the YouTubers I used to watch, I think his name was Tofu, he was like, yeah, you should try both roles. I was like, okay. I'm gonna try that. And I started really liking it. I got my butt kicked, but I was like, I like this. I like feeling powerful. I like being in that killer role. But I also learned about why certain killers did certain things, like why on the cow map they never really went into the corn. It's because they can't fucking see in the corn. Or another example is on the game where they spend a majority of the time underground. It's because that's where most of the starters feel safe because upstairs you're so exposed versus downstairs where you have all the different rooms. It's just like little stuff like that really helps you not only get better as a killer, but as a survivor as well. And depending on who you play, it could be really useful. And I think it's just really useful in general if you do that. So please, even if you don't like it, even if you lose a lot, I 100% recommend that you try both roles.
You just
Jump in
mentioned
whatever's on your
playing both
mind.
sides. I'll even double down on that and say if you're struggling against a specific killer, go play as that specific killer. You know,
If you own.
for yeah, if you own them, if you don't, maybe save up some eerie shards and purchase them if they're acquired by that. Um, Fortunately, most of the best killers are original killers, which is nice. So you can save up and get eerie with that. But yeah, I've struggled with a lot of killers, specifically like Spirit and Pyramid Head. I don't know why those two specifically, but like I just have a really tough time dodging uh, Pyramid Head's like little range attack. That's really tough for me. Although I know it's very similar to like Deathslinger or Xeno's tail. So trying to vault or fake vault windows and stuff, kind of mind game, but playing as the killer stuff has really helped me kind of learn that kind of counterplay. So that's always a plus. Yeah, watch people closely how they counter. If you're playing that killer, see how people counter you. So watch them, and then see how they counterplay and try to replicate that again. And then also playing both sides allows you to understand killer anxiety. This is a real thing and something I think is very, very important. If you're playing killer and you're loading into a game and you're new to the game, you probably feel killer anxiety, and that's because with DBD, the the trials rely on the killer. Without the killer, you have no trial. For the whole state of the game relies on the killer. Like it's kind of crazy how much is required of the killer, and so for that you will feel anxiety. And I think it's important for survivors to feel that way. And I know sometimes when I'm playing Survivor, and I'm like, oh, I don't really have anyone to play with right now. I'll go play Killer, and I load into a game, and then I get two hooks and four people leave. So it's not great. It's not a great feeling. It's very disheartening, but that's killer anxiety, and I think it's really important for everyone to at least experience that just a tiny bit. So you'll get that
When
by playing both
can you
sides.
hear me
I
now?
can hear you now. That's wonderful.
Oh, nice. I had to reconnect. It was me. Maddie fixed it. I wanted to mention killer anxiety being the way it manifested for me, and I think a lot of other players, is you get this physical reaction. You boot up the game, you think about playing killer, and you start shaking.
Yeah.
You physically in your chair cannot sit still. Maybe you're cold and sweaty. You're just thinking about playing the game and you're on edge. Last time you played, it was fine. But now you're just sitting there in the loading screen. Maybe you can't hit ready up even. And you're just dreading playing. That goes away as soon as the match loads. Anecdotal evidence and everyone else who has felt this kind of says the same thing is, yeah, I like playing killer. I just start shaking until I boot up the game. If this is happening to you, don't feel alone. If you want to keep playing killer, push through it. This feeling will go away. You'll feel less and less scared, but it's real. You're supposed to be the power role, but you lose alone. You kind of just sit there and see the results thrown at your face. It's hard to handle the entire match.
Yeah.
So,
Ex-
I will add
Go
on
ahead.
to that. Shout out to 14-year-old me, literally shaking, playing as the spirit, being like, oh my god, we lose! Again, as the spirit. Younger me was not very smart.
Um,
But yeah, 100%. If you're feeling anxiety, that's totally normal. And I do recommend that if you feel a lot of anxiety, you're allowed to take breaks, and more importantly, you're allowed to lose. You're allowed to make
Yes.
mistakes. You're allowed to have fun. Because when you're playing the game, you should have fun. You should not be stressed all the time. And yes, you're gonna lose a lot, a killer, because it takes a lot of skill and kind of like micromanaging. But once you get used to it, it becomes second nature. Take it from me, I hated playing killer for like 2 years, and then I got really into it, and now I'm a killer main, despite the fact I've played like 60 hours of Survivor recently.
You're welcome. No, having more
Yeah.
survivors to play with is very helpful and encouraging. And in addition to like killer anxiety, feeling so much anxiety can, especially if you're losing regularly and you're going against maybe people who are teabagging at exit gates or flashlighting you a lot, it's really easy to fall down the train of the road of, oh, I'm going to start slugging and camping and such in my next games and really show these survivors who's boss. That's not every survivor. I just want to tell you, like that. And survivors, this goes for killers. That's not every killer, right? Like a lot of killer survivors want to. I had some today who wanted to bully me with head on and flashbangs and stuff. Like the best way you can do that is ignore them and then go for someone else within the match. If they're all doing it,
Go for the victory.
if they're all doing it, it's okay to slug. It's okay to camp. Like do whatever you need to do to win that game or to secure a kill at least. But just know it's going to happen. And with killers specifically, if you're playing a new killer and you just, you get 3, 4 Ks in a row, your MMR is going to be very low. Every killer you have in your roster has a different MMR. And you're going to start out low and you're going to start out with lower tiered survivors and to kind of match your skill. It's not always going to happen, but most of the time it will. And so, it's like, I really got this killer down. I'm doing it. And then your MMR starts to go up and you go against a survivor or multiple matches in a row where everyone gets out constantly. And you're just like, oh, well, now I'm doing, what am I doing wrong? It's really just fluctuating your MMR and you'll eventually get into an area where you're having pretty even matches. So don't get discouraged. Just keep playing that killer, but also don't let everything go to your head because the MMR is still working itself out. Just expect that. With survivors, your MMR is the same across all survivors because essentially survivors are just skins. Each survivor is just a skin for another. Your MMR does not change there. It's going to be the same across the board. So just have that in mind. But the big takeaway here is play both sides. I know there are people in this game who've played only killer and only survivor. That is crazy to me. Like that just seems so, and that's where that us versus them, what we talked about last week, that us versus them mentality comes through. So really kind of shake that, but just really, really play both sides. So I'll leave it there. Who'd like to go next? I think Maddie, you just went out before me, so CV, go for it.
Oh, I was thinking a good part is reminding yourself why you like playing the game in the first place. Something drew you in and is telling you to keep playing for a reason. Whether that's I want to play my favorite killer from my favorite franchise. Cool. Pick up Michael Myers, play him lore accurately. Whatever that means to you, you're just stalking people from a distance, and as soon as they see you, you run away. Play your character how you want if that's what's enjoyable. If you're a fan of hitting nasty clips like you see in your YouTube and your TikToks, pick up Wesker. Throw the match, just trying to hit a hug tech. If you see the survivors are doing too many gens fast enough and you feel like DCing, just forget about it. Just start trying to hit the clips on that you would hit in a normal match, Learn the map because you've lost. Just pick yourself back up and find a reason to keep going through it. It's really hard, but you have it in there. You wanted to play because something was fun, and you can find that again. Even if that something is like, I just like playing the game with my friends, don't play Survivor until you have a friend to play with. And if you don't have a friend to play with, maybe make a new friend. See how a new player is doing, and then maybe say, oh, it's fine, we're both bad at the game. We can both play together. That's more than enough reason to keep playing, is just because you have someone to boot it up with. So find that reason. And if that reason is I want to 4K every single match and make survivors feel my pain, you should do something else. If you want to 4K at 5 gens every single time, you need 16,000 hours to start thinking about doing that.
Down the cup. Pick up a new cup. Get some coffee, tea, I don't know.
Play
Hydrate.
for yourself,
Yes.
but remember that there'll be uncontrollable things. So play for your own enjoyment and find that thing that you liked doing when you first started.
I'd like to
Awesome
touch on
points.
the point where you mentioned like maybe a game isn't going your way and you're just trying to do that hug tech with Wesker or whatnot. I do that a lot with killers I'm playing as, like specific killers that are
Yeah.
not M1 killers. So for example, I main Xeno, the tail tacks, you can get some really cool tail tacks. And a lot of times if I'm playing a tile that I'm not super familiar with or I've not played a lot as Xeno, I will, and I'm already going to kind of lose the game. I'm like, well, fuck it. I'm going to try to get a cool tail tack on this tile. And I do, and I'm testing things out, and I'm sure the survivor's like, oh, look at this doofus. But meanwhile, I am learning the tile for future references. That is such a good,
You're the
yeah,
real
like
winner.
that
You're
is such a
learning.
good suggestion for new players. Like, if you see the game not going in your favor, then try to learn something out of it. Don't get mad in DC. I mean, if it's getting to you too much, maybe you should DC and just take a break. But really try to um, learn a specific or how to counter a specific tile that you're really having a hard time with. Or if you're not playing an M1, just strictly M1 killer, try to use that M2 that you're using and try to really play for your strengths and learn something new. That's such a great tip.
As a killer, the match is kind of your sandbox. It's a little unstated, but you don't have to defend the gens. You don't have to hunt survivors. It's just kind of the thing that gives you points. But if you're not in it for the points, if you're not in it for the match result, be in it for the gameplay. As a survivor, you don't really have that liberty. So understand that you are at the behest of the killer and what they find fun, if that makes sense. If the killer wants to put all four of you on the ground and watch you bleed out, it's unfortunate, but that's what they thought was fun for themselves.
Just know that you're the better person than they are.
Yeah.
Cool.
I found that it was a lot of fun, like learning somebody like Hillbilly and telling myself, I don't want to M1 anyone. My chainsaw can put you on the ground just
There you
fine.
go.
And then you go against the team that kind of understands that you don't want to go for M1s. You just want to go for chainsaws. And then now they're not dropping pallets. Now they're saying, come to this loop. I want to see you hit me on this loop. I want to see what you can do. When the survivors are in it too, and they want to see you having fun, that's what's also really, really palpable.
Love to see it. What about you, Maddie?
The survive with friends that want a happy killer over a sad killer is also the more preferable option.
Always.
Amazing people. Amazing points.
Always.
Yes. I'm snapping.
Maddie, did you have any additional tips you wanted to cover?
I do. I have one final tip, which I think is very
Do it.
important. And that would be using your blood points and iridescent shards effectively. Because a lot of the time, I hear people saying, like, oh, I used all my blood points on this person. And I'm like, you really shouldn't have internally. Or they'll be like, who should I use my blood points on? And it's like literally every single survivor at 0. It's like, oh god. Or then they'll be like, well, who should I buy? And it's like 7 different killers, and they just don't know why. And that's not a them issue. It's an issue because there's no real way to like test them out before you buy them. You have to watch a YouTube video. So I recommend using blood points and iridescent shards effectively. So I'll start with blood points. You should really focus on using the blood points on characters with useful perks. That might be a bit weird. What is useful? And that would be just what people generally call good. So this could be seen in YouTube videos, which is a bit contradictory because I said you would know about unless you saw a YouTube video, but for this case, watch a YouTube video. But also, there's just some survivors that have better perks than others from the free badge. So looking at the free survivors, uh, I specifically said that you should start with Meg because all 3 of her perks are really good. And all of them can be used in many different builds, and she's just very fun. After that, you should go for Dwight, another powerful character with a lot of good perks. Not as good as Meg, pretty good. In the middle, I put Bill because he can be a bit situational. He can be a bit awkward, but it can be pretty fun, and overall, it can be useful, like borrow time.
Correct
Uh,
me if console players get Feng Min for free.
I was gonna say I was a little iffy on that, and I wasn't sure where to include this, but console players do get different survivors. Like I think on console you don't get David or Huntress, but you get Fong and the
Wait,
Doctor.
really?
And I also think you also get
Mm-hmm.
Hag and
That's
Ace.
I think
insane.
so. It's a
Oh,
little iffy. We're
it's a
PC
little
players,
iffy.
so forgive us. We have,
Yeah, for
Valve's
PC
baby boy
players,
Bill.
this is PC exclusive. But after Bill, I put Claudette. She has pretty good perks, but self care is a trap. Don't use self care. It's not
Don't
that great. I'm
don't use
sorry.
self care.
It looks great. It's not. Then
I
I put
think I think
Nia.
self-care is a good perk,
No,
but
stop.
it is a difficult one to use
No,
correctly. If you're think of it the end game potential,
no,
everyone's med kits are
no.
empty and you still have self-care. Okay.
I think your
All right.
time would be better spent going for a door or healing finding
Yeah.
someone to heal each
Or
other, or
or or if you had adrenaline, you wouldn't have to worry about healing
that's
them
true.
really
This
at
is
That's
all.
true.
true.
Cough
That's
cough.
true.
This is why my favorite build is Adrenaline, Hope, No One Left Behind, and we'll Wake Up.
There
Wow.
we go.
Four
Okay,
perks that
Bill.
don't work until the doors
Yeah.
are won.
Wow.
Yes. But yeah, after you get Claudette, I recommend you get Nia. I only put her down here because Streetwise was disabled, so she'd probably be higher, but that's where I put her. Jake, I put last because Iron Will is his only good perk. Saboteur, you really shouldn't use it if you're new, just because it puts you in a dangerous position. You don't really know how to maneuver around. And a Calm Spirit is there. And finally, I put David, which is a bit controversial. Dead Heart is a very good perk,
That
but
hard.
as a new player, you're not really knowing how to use Dead Hard, but you also don't really know how to use Work to Live Forever. When is it okay for me to go for a down person if there's a killer nearby? And then there's the third one, No Miver. That is also a trap. Rarely is it used well. A lot of the time when people get it in like Chaos Shuffle, they just give up because you're basically dead meat. So yeah, that's my little order for survivors. And for killers, pretty simple. Wraith first, really easy to play. I also kept in consideration, you know, how easy are they to play and to understand. So I put Wraith first, and his perks are pretty I actually, especially since a lot of them got reworked. Then I put Hillbilly, pretty difficult, but he has great perks. Huntress, I put in the middle. I feel like she's a fair balance between hard and easy, and her perks are very bad, but her gameplay saves her. Nurse, very difficult, very unlike anyone else, but she has some pretty good perks. And lastly, I put Trapper. We don't talk about Trapper.
I
No,
love Trapper.
I'm the opposite. I would say your
Really?
first game as killer should be Trapper. I would say
Really?
don't think of anything else, just play Trapper.
I
Really? That's
If
interesting.
he's the worst killer in the game, you should get that baseline drilled into your head. If he is, the weakest killer, he's been around the longest, people know how to face Trapper and have all these tricks in their book to face M1 killers, you'll see it all on display. And then when
My
you get that 4K, it'll be so much more sweet because you pulled it off. You, despite everything the game threw at you, did it.
My counter argument to that is Trapper is unique in the way that compared to every other killer, he doesn't start with his power unless with an add-on. You have to go out and get his
He
power.
starts with 2 bear traps. They buffed him.
Yeah.
Regardless,
You don't
he
play
starts
enough
from.
Trapper.
I don't play Trapper. How? Because he's so
yeah,
bad.
Play
he's
I
in a
Trapper.
rough
Play
spot. He's in a
Trapper.
rough spot. As a Trapper lover, he's in a rough spot. He's in a rough spot.
Play
I
more
do want to
Trapper.
say though, he's in a unique position where even with Nurse and Kankaneki and other killers in mind, he's the most out there killer because he has to mainly go get his power. This is different from even Oni, because at least he can build it up over time. Trapper doesn't. And also, he's just really bad. I'm sorry. I get wanting to start at the bottom, but you have
He's
so
so
many other
weak.
options like Michael, the pig,
Yeah,
and they're so much more fun than the
it's
Trapper.
Well, they cost money. So like if you're thinking
Okay,
about
here's
it,
a free
Trapper is a
option.
great
Legion.
entry.
Legion is a
Legion?
great free option
mhm.
as well. And he
Okay.
doesn't cost that much in your That's charts.
yeah. That if
But then you have to learn when to cancel your power. You have to learn when to vault. You have to learn to
yeah, there's
respect
some
pallets.
nuances there.
collect your power.
Trapper, you can just put a trap at a window.
This
Go
is
get
trap
another one.
propaganda. This is
Put a
trap
trap at another window. They can't vault that
This
window.
propaganda made by the Stevie States. I can't believe this.
I love my M1 killers. Come on.
Yeah, they're. I do too. Like two of my mains.
Playing him
are,
will teach you how to moonwalk. It'll teach you how to hug loops tight. It'll teach you when and where to respect
Don't play Trapper.
pallets.
Ignore Stevie.
I,
All right,
I
get into
would. I
customs.
would.
1v1
Oh,
tonight.
well, here we
Come
go.
on.
Or this for the channel. I would argue that if I'm with you if you're new to the game and you're just at base killers, I think Wraith is the best option. Very simple killer. You don't have to go around the map setting up
Yes.
traps. You don't know how to because there's a lot of nuances to Trapper. Even like if you put a trap too close to a window, they'll vault over it. Like I learned that.
You'll learn
Yeah.
that pretty quick
Oh
playing
yeah. But
Trapper.
like Wraith, you uncloak, you cloak, you get a when you uncloak, and you can hit it, get a hit usually. Super simple. You don't have to earn anything. You don't have to place anything. There aren't any really nuances to that killer. Like it's very straightforward. So yeah, I'm totally with Maddie. I think if Michael were in the base game and you didn't have to pay for him, I think he would be a better option actually. Because I think
Oh,
you there are a little bit more nuances. I think the add-ons are very fun. You can play with things other than the eerie add-ons. I know those are kind of his best add-ons. There's a lot of fun alternatives too, like Scratch Mirror Myers. Like if you want to do something like that, um, as a new survivor, you're not going to know anything like that. But I think Michaels is a better choice than Wraith. Like all you do is like he does. He's truly an M1 killer, but he can snowball. But I think he's fun, and that's my opinion though. But great choices and great picks.
also, I do have two more things I
Yeah,
want
go
to say
for it.
really quickly. Yes. Uh, Back to iridescent shards, as I mentioned previously, you should use them effectively. You should be looking at what perks are available on the Shrine of Secrets if you're looking for a specific perk. But if you're looking for a killer, you just want to have fun, see who's in the Shrine of Secrets first and try not to go for them because you can always get their perks if you want them and you don't really care for that killer. Whereas you can get a killer that doesn't have any perks on the Shrine of Secrets that you would really enjoy and you wouldn't have to worry about waiting for the Shrine of Secrets to get their perks. Additionally, you should try and get the older killers first because they're a lot cheaper. I believe Clown is less than 2,500 iridescent shards, and someone like Plague is about 4,500. And then I think everyone before Dredge slash Singularity is 4,500, and then everyone past that is 9,000. So you definitely want to save up your iridescent shards for the cheaper killers because you can get a lot more. You can get a lot more of their perks, and who knows? Maybe you'll find someone you didn't expect to like that you'll love. When I got Dredge, I was like, he's aight, he's cool. I won't really play him, and I love him. He's my little Scrunkle, my baby boo girl thing that is also a monster. But we don't talk about that. I love Dredge, and I didn't think I would do that unless I tried him out. And for me, he was only like 4,500 iridescent shards. So do that. Try things you don't really like and use your iridescent shards and ball points effectively. Additionally, one more thing before I move on and let the other people start to talk and I stop yapping is that recently Behavior added something which isn't great, but it is okay and is an okay start. That being in the Rift, there's a set of battle pass challenges called Into the Fog, which kind of explain what add-ons are and it challenges you to use them, or what items are and why you should bring them into the fog. Very stupid, very rudimental, but it's still something. So go do that. And remember, it's called Into the Fog. Very basic. It's literally glowing in red in the battle pass.
Yeah.
Do it. My fourth secret tip. I'm done talking.
No,
So
you're
sorry.
good. You're good. All great tips. All great tips. I don't think I have anything else. I have one here that I've written down, but I actually don't like it, especially now that we've been talking. So I'm not even going to bring it up. So CV,
Oh.
do you have any additional tips you'd like to bring up?
I think that's everything we could have done in this. If you want to sit down with more videos or learn more, there are people who can explain things a lot more in depth, mechanically or just how to think while you're playing.
Yeah, I like that.
Uh, I'd I'd throw out one of my favorite YouTubers. She's really small, Twins main Sage. If you had
Oh.
heard about her, I'm getting quizzical looks. But no, she's kind of like diamond in the rough. She's a Twins main, but like if that puts you off, you should reconsider. I used to be a type of person who would DC as soon as I heard the Twins noise.
Oh,
Now I'm not anymore, and I feel better. I feel like a better player for not. But anyway, she's great. She makes content related to kind of the mental aspect of playing Dead by Daylight,
awesome.
which it's kind of unthought about. Most people are like, get good. Why are you dying? Why aren't you 4King at 5 gens?
Yeah.
You should play better. Here's 4 slowdown perks. Use them. That doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel good. Be nice to people. Play with your friends.
Mhm.
It's video games. It's not that
Super
deep.
magic. Yay.
Maddie, before we jump to Jeopardy, are there any other tips or suggestions you wanted to provide new players?
Besides everything that I've said for like 8 hours because I talk for so much, it would just be that have fun with the game. It shouldn't be stressful, and I get Dead by Daylight kind of has like a sort of reputation that can be pretty toxic and really annoying. But in all reality, jokes aside, it should be a game that you're playing for fun and or you enjoy. If you're starting to get stressed or starting to get really angry or like even cry from stress, take a break. You shouldn't be feeling that over a video game. I recommend, for me, when I get really stressed on killer, what I like to do is I like to quit the game, opening up a cozy game like Stardew Valley, or a game that doesn't really require a lot of skill and it can be really numb, like Warframe, and just like going around doing your stupid shit and taking out your anger on NPCs. It's really fun, really simple, and it can help you feel better. And then when you go back to Dead by Daylight, you have a more positive mind and you can relax a bit more. Kind of reiterating what Stevie has said before, but please be positive. Take a little breaksy poo when you're feeling stressed. Please and thank
Yeah,
you.
well said. I do want to say before we go to Jeopardy, listeners, if you are new to DBD or you're going to send this to someone who is going to listen to it and is new to DBD, send us your emails. You can send us questions or comments regarding asking for tips or help or whatnot regarding DBD. Send us in. You can email us at redstainradio@gmail.com. Send us in your emails. Ask us a question. We can give you tips if you want them. So yeah, we're all pretty seasoned players. We're happy to help.
But seriously, we'd love feedback or questions, comments, anything you're thinking while you're
If I'm
listening.
rambling in these episodes, I want to know. If I'm being amazing, beautiful, radiant, let me know too. But you need to send us
We
messages.
need to hear it. We
Please.
need your input.
Please. We're begging you.
Thank
Email
you.
us.
Thank you.
But
So
thank you for doing Jeopardy, Maddie. That was a great time. Just wanted to say thank you all so much to our listeners. Remember, if you want to send us questions, you can. We have our email, redstainradio@gmail.com. That's redstainradio@gmail.com. Send us questions, comments, feedback, any ideas you have for the future. We want to hear it. We love to hear it.
yes,
And
please.
in the meantime, share this podcast with a friend, family member, and we'd greatly appreciate it. And thank you, Maddie, and thank you, Bryson, out there. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see y'all in the fog next week.
We'll also see Bryson in the fog apparently.
I hope so. I hope he's okay.